How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back on another video. Today we're going to be working on a fire pit. As you guys know, I've built many different types of fire pits. Well, this one here is going to be a truck rim. I figure it would be pretty decent place to be able to cook, and I do want to be able to cook food on this. So we're getting it's a little bit of a project, not too much, but I think we can get it figured out. Now, to a lot of you guys out there ask me to build these things. I can't build a bunch of these. I do work. I work 40 hours a week just like everybody else or more. And it's kind of hard for me to do a bunch of these builds. So I try to do a build on video, so at least ways you know how to build it, or you could find somebody that can help you out to build it. So this one here is going to be made out of a truck rim, and we have a big old piece of pipe here, and all this stuff is scrap metal. Everything I use on this project will be scrap metal. You can find it at your junkyard or a salvage yard or any place like that. Basically everything I use. So let's get started. I'll show you what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do this, and we'll get the ball rolling here. Alright, now this is a pretty good size truck rim. This rim was in a, it had got bent and it wouldn't hold air anymore. It was just smashed in, and we beat it back out there the best we could. But what I'm going to do is, this is going to be our fire bowl. This is where we're going to stack our wood in here. We're going to build our nice little fire. But I want to be able to cook on the top of this, and I really need a piece, I need a ring to put on here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this guy over, and I'm going to take a 4-inch cutoff, and I'm going to cut a ring off of the bottom of this. We don't need it. It's extra. It's just extra metal. So instead of building a ring to be able to put my grate in so I can cook, I'm just going to cut the bottom off of this. So that's what we're going to get started on first. Okay, what I've done here is I just made a mark where I want to cut this, and I'm going to take a 4-inch grinder and I'm going to cut straight in and work my way all the way around this rim until this little piece here pops off, because this is what we want, this piece right here. So we're going to work on getting this cut off. Okay, now all we done was cut this bottom ring off the bottom, and of course I took a bunch of the metal filings off of it so you don't cut your fingers. So my idea of doing this was to take the rim, because this is going to be mounted onto the big pipe right here. So we didn't need this extra steel hanging off the bottom, so I figured I'd flip it over, and then I would take this ring, because it's going to fit so nicely over top of this. I could build my grate to where I want to cook on right here. So this would be a perfect circle for me to clean up and to weld my, maybe even just make a grate that'll fit down in here so I can actually take it out of the weather, because I don't want this thing to rust up, the grate itself, what you're cooking on. So I think this is going to work out pretty good. When this thing's all said and done, I'm hoping this piece here is what we're going to weld. We're going to weld it right to the top of that. And this will be able to set on the ground. We could actually sink it in the ground a little bit or whatever. But we'll figure out something on that part. But the last one I built, the great big one I built like this, I sunk it in the ground a couple inches. And then this is going to be our piece for our grill on the top so we can cook on this thing. That's basically what it's going to look like. Alright, now so I want to make sure I could lift this thing up and down off of this fire. So I cut an old piece of roof bolt here, and I'm going to mount this right to the side, and that's going to give me a decent amount to raise this up and down. So this will be actually welded right to the rim, and this is, like I said, will be what will give us the height on lifting our ring up and down on the fire. So if we need it a little cooler, we can raise it up. We need it a little warmer, we can bring it down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat this up with a torch, and we're going to bend this thing so it goes in. I don't want it right up against the rim. I want it out just a little bit. Alright, now that we got this piece welded on there, and it's really good and strong, it's definitely a good strong weld, we're going to work on the piece for the bottom of this ring. This is our grill where we're going to be cooking. So I'm going to use just a piece of small steel. We're going to cut a little chunk of this, but we're going to cut also a groove. We're going to grind out a groove so it fits over this rod about halfway. So we'll get that cut out there so it fits over that rod. Okay, you can see our rod goes about halfway on that. That don't look too bad right there. Now we're going to take that and we're going to cut a small piece off of here, and this is going to be welded onto the bottom of this ring right here that we're going to use for the grill. So let me get that marked, and we'll get that thing chopped off. We're going to chop it off about right in there. I think that'll be good. Okay, I just flipped my ring upside down because I want this to be pretty flush. I need that pretty square on there, because this is what this thing right here is what the grill is going to rest on to keep it up against that pole there. Okay, I got a piece of 3/8 dowel. We got this piece on. Now that piece there is done. I don't have to do nothing more of that. We need to get another piece on here to support that rack from bending over. So what I'm going to do with this 3/8 dowel, we're going to weld this on here, heat it up with a torch, bend it all the way to the other side, and get it welded on over there. And that's going to keep it from falling down this way. now that this thing is all bent and where we want it, we're going to go ahead and build another flat bar for the back of this to keep this in place, because we need something to keep the rack from twisting back and forth this way, and I think this will work out really well for that. Okay, this is what we ground out, and what we want to do is set that right down on top of there. That allows that not to slide either way on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld this to this bar here, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it after we get it welded. One thing is, I want to make sure that this thing is laying good and flat. So I might just take like a 2x4 and lay across the bottom down here underneath of this rack, so it's all laying level before I put it together. Alright, we're going to need some type of a handle on this to be able to swing it off, on and off with a burner. So we're just going to use a piece of this 3/8 dowel. Okay, now for holding this thing into place, I got some of these big washers, and we're going to stack these every 3 inches on here. So high, I don't know exactly how high we're going to need it, but what that does is when I put this down on there, it gives it something to rest on. So my I see that thing's going to need a little more grinding in it. It's catching the ribs. But what it does is it keeps it from sliding down now. And I'll be able to take my food and tilt it off of the fire. So if we're cooking and it gets too hot, or you want to add more wood to it, you'll be able to turn it over to the side, add wood, and then put your food back on. So we're going to go about every 3 inches. I don't know exactly how high we want this thing, but that's going to be the lowest notch right there. So we're going to get these washers on there. Go ahead and get them welded on there. Alright, we have 3 of the washers welded on there. And if we want to change the height of it, all we have to do is pick it up like this, set it down on the next one, pick it up, set it down on the next one. I think that's going to work out okay. And then you'll be able to stick it on whatever one you want, and you still be able to twist it back and forth to keep it off the fire, put wood on the fire, whatever. But I think only 3 of them. I think this is going to be fine. You're not going to want it much higher than that off the fire. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, so far in this video, we got the rim cut. We got us a grill ring, which is cool. And we got adjustments on it, so we can adjust it away from the fire and bring it up or down closer to the fire, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm thinking of making some type of a hanger that would come off of here and hang over top of the fire in case I want to put a Dutch oven up here. So that's an idea. To do something off of this rod to where it can be swung out and back and forth. I think, but I'm not so sure about, you know, adjusting it up and down away from the fire, but we'll see what we can do. We could always pull it off to the side to keep it away from the fire. We still have to do a little bit in the bottom of this. We have to weld a plate in the bottom of the rim, and we're going to seal up some of them holes in the bottom. We don't want all the holes, but we do want holes in it because we don't want it to fill full of water. If any water gets into the bottom of this, we want it to just drip out the bottom. So we may end up just covering the big holes and leave where the studs came through, leave them alone. But it's looking pretty good, so we're going to end this video here. And this hopefully will give you guys something to follow along while we're building, and maybe throw in some suggestions on what you guys think we could do. That would be fine. You leave them in the comments, that'd be alright. So I will keep these videos all in line. So the next video I put on after this one will be the next part of this build. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment if you'd like. And keep your eyes open for that next part. Click that little bell down there. Till next time.